What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. Let's fix this fucking camera. I'm gonna make this shit square. Alright, let's get into this now. So, where do I even begin with this video? Let's begin at the beginning. That's a good place to start. I always have a concept of what I want to say in the videos, but I don't plan it out because I want it to come from the heart, and I feel like if you're bullshitting and you've come up with an outline or you've come up with something like that's just not really from the heart, I feel like people know it, right? They can feel it. They can feel it in the way that you present it, the way that your tone, all that stuff. So I try to keep everything directly from the heart and real, like just straight from the heart. So there are people that have asked me, like, Jared, I've seen some pictures online of you that look really good. I mean, some of them look jacked, some of them look really lean, some of them look good on stage, and I've seen some pictures of you on stage that are really not good. Like, you look like a bag of shit. And I'm like, yes, absolutely, I look like a bag of shit. And, it's very easy to hide those pictures. I could just take them down because I actually have them up. I put them up places, which is why they're up all over the internet. And, of course, Boston Live would love to take the bad ones of me and put them next to the best pictures of himself. And he liked to compare those at the time, which is where people started to notice these bad pictures of me, right? And I said, well, if you're so smart with this diet stuff and you can get yourself in the type of shape that, we've seen you in, then why the fuck were you on stage looking like an asshole? Like, plain and simple, right? And these are discussions that I have because I'm like, you can ask me anything. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'll talk to you about it, right? And I was like, having this discussion, I'm like, I should put this on video. Like, I should actually make a video about this because this is like something I don't even think about, but I guess other people do. So fine, here we are. Now, to learn or to get to the bottom of why would I go on stage looking 50% of what I could be. I mean, 50% might even be a stretch. It might even be worse than that with some of them. You have to go back 20 years ago to my heroin addiction. Now, I'm not saying that I was on heroin when I took those pictures because it was far later after I got clean. But what's the connection between the heroin addiction and looking like shit on stage 10 years later, 15 years later, whatever the case may be? Well, bodybuilding in general, before I even got addicted to drugs, I was really living the lifestyle to begin with. 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, 21 years old. By 22, 23, I was heavily into the drugs. So I was living this lifestyle that taught me a lot of discipline. And one of the things it taught me was to not give up. Okay, period. And once I went through heroin addiction, that really curbed my ego. That really gave me a slap in the nose to set me back a little bit and be like, you know what? I'm not fucking super cool. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm just a fucking person, right? I'm a person who struggles, that has issues, that is far from perfect, right? And then social media comes along and the internet comes along with all this social media bullshit, and everything is just perfect for everybody, right? We have Photoshop, we have video editing shit, we have filters, we have all this shit. And then everybody puts up their fucking highlight reels on their fucking phones so you can watch the highlight reel of their lives, and you very rarely see the bad things or the real them. And then even when you do see the bad things, it's presented in a way to be very kind of, in your face and presented in a way where it's supposed to make them still look in a better light and more, like, let's say you've got an issue where you're in the hospital or something. People are actually in their hospital taking pictures of themselves to be able to put up online. And I'm like, you're in the fucking hospital with some kind of problem that you don't even know what the fuck's going on. You may be fucking dead 2 hours from now. And you're taking pictures to put on social media? How about talking about it afterwards, right? But no, it's all about presenting something to the public, presenting your best foot, your best image, your perfectness, right? Your perfection to the world. And this is part of the problem with social media. And I come from a time, because I'm older, 45 years old now, I'm going to be 46 in less than a month, where we didn't have the internet, right? So therefore, we were just us. And people saw you in real time. They saw you for who and what you were and how you looked and everything. All the good, the bad, the ugly, and the shit together. Everybody saw it up close and personal that were around you because there was no way to fucking hide it on the internet, period. So through that, I learned to not give up. You don't give up. You make a fucking plan, you have a goal, you execute it to the best of your ability, and you fucking go for it. You do not quit, you do not give up. And with the social media that has been around, people started giving up and quitting left and fucking right. Back in the day, people I knew that were doing competitions didn't back out of competitions. Now, there were a lot of people that talk shit about doing one and never showed up. That's not the same thing as planning for it, training for it, and then fucking backing out because you wouldn't be at your best, right? Well, here's the thing. You don't know somebody standing on stage next to you if you're 80%, 90%, 50%, whatever. If you're still going to beat them. You don't know who's going to show up that day. You have no idea. So it really became more about, well, I looked like this last time on stage, and if I look like this now, even though I win the overall, I'm still going to be judged based on my other pictures because the internet's forever. They're on there, and people are going to say how shitty I am, and I went backwards, and they can't deal with the criticism. So what they do is they back out of the show. They take the show right out of the picture so that they don't have to deal with it, right? And that was the opposite of what I've done. It's the opposite of who I am. It's the opposite of my life. When I make a decision, and everybody around me that knows me, I remember when me and my ex were breaking up, I said, I'm going to get a little black French bulldog. There he is, Brady. Every single thing that I say, I'm going to start a business. Boom, here it is. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going here. I'm going there. Like everything that I say and I plan to go out, I try to execute to the best of my ability, and I move forward. I don't quit, and I try to accomplish that goal. And 9 out of 10 times, I accomplish the goal. Sometimes I don't. And I look at it and figure out what happened, what went wrong, and if I decide that that's a goal I want to go after again, I make the changes and go after it again. However, I don't quit. I don't back down, and I don't let it go. I move forward, and if I fail, I fail, but I'm going to do everything I can to be there, do what I need to do, and execute what I want to do the best that I can at that point, at that time, period. And that is part of being an addict. That is part of the discipline that comes with bodybuilding, helps get off the drugs and stuff, right? Well, there are pictures of me on social media that are at times when I was addicted, right? There's very few of them, but I mean, when I was addicted, you really couldn't tell when I was addicted. But there are pictures of me on stage that are not the best. And one specifically show that I can throw out there was one in 2011. I had, before they now, granted, I'm sure a lot of people have done this, but there's this thing called Fit to Fat to Fit. And it's these trainers that get themselves, they're in shape, they get themselves out of shape, and they get themselves back in shape. Yay, big fucking deal. It's what you do for a business. You know how to do it. Shouldn't be that fucking hard. Anyways, it's actually kind of, it sucks when you're getting out of shape because you're eating all this shit and you feel like shit. But regardless, it's like this thing that they had, it was like a big thing a few years ago. Back in 2011, before that was even a fucking concept on social media or TV or anything like that, I had a client who was normally just a big guy. He was always a big guy, heavy, body fat was high, very strong, right? Had good genetics for strength, dude was strong. And he couldn't wrap his head around doing what he had to do to diet. And we talked about it, and I trained this guy for like 10 years, and we got him down into decent shape, and he would go, back, and he would fall off. And, we had this conversation one day, and he always says something like, you don't know what it's like to have to lose weight like this. You've always been in shape, you've never been fat. And I said, well, here's the deal. I said, okay. I said, I know where you're coming from because I've dieted for shows. He's like, it's not the same. So it's not the same as losing 60, 70 pounds. I said, okay. And he was right. I said, it's not. When you're going to lose 20 pounds for a show and you got 20 weeks to do it, it's not the same thing as trying to lose 80 pounds, whatever he's trying to do. So I pushed my weight up to over 260 pounds again. This was the last time I was this big. And at 21 years old or 20 years old, 20, I was at 250. 21 years old, I was 273. So I was already 21 years old, over 270 pounds, very big, very strong, loaded on gear. And I was aware that I could push my weight up that high, but it was uncomfortable and it was hard to do. So what I did was push my weight up to over 260. I think it was about 265. And everybody's watching me do it. And I'm staying covered up, during the winter and stuff. And finally, I get to the point where I said, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to drop. I can't breathe. I'm just sitting there breathing heavy. And I go back to him and say, here's the deal. I said, look at all the weight that I've gained. I took my shirt off. I said, this is probably for me the worst I've ever looked. I said, but I'm doing this for you. I said, we are going to diet down together. We're going to stick to this together, and we're going to go through it together. So you're not just going to come in 3 times a week and work out with me. I said, you're going to be doing what you do on your own, and so am I. I said, if you got a problem, call me because we're going through the same shit. And that actually did light a fire under his ass. And he did actually wind up getting in the best shape he had ever been in while we were doing that. And at the same time, I had another client. And this other client was doing this show, and he was waning back and forth whether or not he wanted to do it. The 2010 show that he had done, he got 5th in, which, he was not too happy about, but he was happy to be competing in bodybuilding, but he was like, I'd really like to do better, and I think I can. I just got to train harder, etc. Cool. So he's getting ready for this show. And now at the same time, he's kind of waning about, like, I don't know if I can do this. And I'm like, shit, it's his second show. It is cranked up a notch. He's trying to improve himself. So I said, okay, I will compete with you. You and I will do the show together. And I knew in my heart of hearts, I said, I am going to look like a bag of shit on stage. But this is not about me. Like right now, it's not about me. Like these are two people that were in my life that were not just my clients. They were my friends. Like these people are, I've gone to their weddings. I've been in their weddings. I was in the wedding party, right? I've been to their christenings. I've been, I'm actually godfather to one of their children. Like these are people that are close to me that I'm like, the only way that this is going to get done is if I lead by example. Me telling them like a drill sergeant is not going to work, right? I need to show them that I care about them and I'm willing to dig down myself and do this with them at the same time, both of them. It was a lot to take on. This was 2011, I think it was. And I did. I came down from 265 down to like 203 or something like that in, it was 12 or 13 weeks. And got on stage, and of course my cousin, she comes down with her husband to see the show. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, probably the worst I'm ever going to look in my life on stage. And I got friends, family, clients. It was a show that was here. I got my family coming down from up north. I'm like, you got to be shit, man. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's not about me. And I knew when I walked on that fucking stage, I knew for a fact this is going to be one of my worst showings ever. And again, it was 2011, so I mean, we were getting into the Facebook and stuff like, MySpace was kind of going away. Social media was starting to really blossom. And I knew this shit, it was going to be on musculardevelopment.com, npcnews.com, online.com. It was going to be on all these fucking pictures to be there. And of course, I go to get in that class, and Aaron fucking Clark is in my class. If any of you know Aaron Clark, he's a fucking monster. And I'm like, regardless of how I look, when I stand next to him, I'm going to look like even bigger of a bag of shit because look at this guy. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's not about me. And I went on stage and we competed. Everybody was like, yay. But they're like, what the fuck is going on with Jerry? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. And people asking questions like, yo, what the fuck happened? I'm like, it's a long story. It doesn't matter. And I could have pulled out of that show. I could have pulled out of that show and saved face and saved myself the embarrassment. I could have pulled out of that show and absolutely 100% wouldn't have those pictures nowadays online. And I decided, no, I made the commitment to both of these people and it was about them. It wasn't about me. And it was fucked up because I was taking a lot of shit for it, but both of them were happy and it helped them. And this is not the first time I did this. I had my friend Ani who competed. This was back in 2007. She was doing her first show. She wanted to compete together. She was my training partner. I was so far out of shape. I'm like, there's no fucking way I'll make it, but fuck it. Like, I'll just jump in the show with you. I did. I went in as a super heavyweight. I looked like fucking shit. I had friends come to me and say, dude, don't ever do that again. Like, make sure you go down to the heavies. Don't stay in the fucking supers. But I'm like, I made a commitment. This person, and it was her first show and she looked amazing. That's why I did it. I decided to do shows with my ex-girlfriend in the past that I knew for a fucking fact that I would not look good on stage. But it was about her she was a national level competitor. And when we trained together in the gym, we dieted together, we did everything together, went to the shows together. And by doing that, it helped keep her on track. And she got her physique to the next level, which was actually winning she was winning all the overalls. She goes to the Arnold, gets third at the Arnold, or fourth at the Arnold, right? She goes to the Junior USAs, gets third there. She's fucking killing it. But at the same time, doing those couple shows together to get her to the next level, I knew I didn't have enough time, but I jumped into it and it was a motivation thing. And I'm sitting here going, there's a lot of things that I did in my past that I couldn't let go. I couldn't quit. I wouldn't give up. No matter what the outcome was going to be, I wouldn't give up. And some people would be like, well, Jerry, why? What the fuck? Like, who cares? Like, that's their shit. I know. But when I make a decision to do something and I say, this is what I'm going to do, I have to be true to myself to follow that through. And that goes back to my addiction. If I say I'm not going to use drugs anymore, I say I'm not going to take another opiate as long as I live, no matter what happens, I need to stick to that. I need to be strong enough. I need to have enough discipline, enough willpower to stick to that, or I'm fucked. Plain and simple. So that winds up getting exercised in other places in my life. For me, going through all this, the different counseling and stuff that I did, When you start backing out of things and giving up and failing at other things because you give up, that rolls over very quickly back into the addiction, where you can give up your sobriety because you gave up on these other things. Like, you have to be consistent in your life. You can't be giving up on this shit and say, I'm going to be strong over here and not quit over here. If you're a quitter, you're a quitter. I couldn't quit. I had to stick to my fucking guns. For me. It wasn't about the other people. It was for me, right? For them to get to the next level. But for me, when I committed to them, I couldn't quit for me, no matter what the outcome was, whether Boston Lloyd was going to use this shit against me in the future or not. I made that decision, and those pictures are forever, and I'm sure that my reputation was probably tarnished with certain people because those pictures exist, but it was my fucking choice. It was my fucking decision. It was me not giving up. It was me seeing through. It was me giving my word and keeping my word to other people. It was me seeing through what I started to say that no matter what happens. So in my addiction, if I'm having a day that I'm craving, and I have dreams, I have nightmares about bottles of Nubane still. It's been 20 years and I have dreams where I found a bottle of Nubane in my coat pocket that I hid in the fucking closet years ago. And I found the bottle and there's like 3/4 in the bottle. And I fucking hide that bottle, and people around me, I don't want them to know. So I'm like hiding it in my pocket. I'm hiding it like under the sink. I'm putting it into my sock and walking around with it. Like, these are dreams that will still plague you. There are cravings that will still come. And if you quit and you give up and you give in and other things in your life, it's very easy to fucking do it with your addiction. Matter of fact, it's even easier because that addiction that you're fighting, that fucker's sitting on your shoulder the whole time like, come on, bro. Come on, come on. And the angel's on the other side going, look, Jerry, if you do this, you know where it goes. And the addiction's like, fuck that, stupid angel. Let's do it. Let's fucking roll, man. Let's party. Let's have a good time. Fuck that. Let's feel nothing. Who gives a shit about those other people you gave your word to? Fuck them. Like, there's an internal battle that comes with being an addict, and I think that people watching this that have addiction problems will know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. But the bottom line is, there's a lot of me that's complicated. I'm not a simple person at my core. On the outside, I try to live a simple life because living a simple life makes things less complicated for me to make less complicated decisions. It's very easy to have black and white and not gray. The more gray there is, the harder it is to make a decision one way or the other, and the easier it is to slip up on your addiction. So living life as an addict in recovery will roll over into other things. And man, I'll tell you what, there were times where people were busting my balls about how shitty I looked, and I'm like, I just want to take these down. I want to make it go away. And I didn't. I said, fuck it. Take it with it. Take the fucking pain. Learn what it feels like. Have the discipline to be like, fuck it. Put your chin down and push forward. And things that you've done in the past, it doesn't fucking matter. What matters is now. And realizing now that explaining this may help somebody out there that is watching this not give up on their diet, not give up on their show, not give up on their sobriety, not give up on themselves. I wouldn't be here making these videos here today in Virginia, Fairfax, Virginia, with all the stuff that I've accomplished, all my successes, all my failures, if I had given up on myself. I would not be here if I didn't do the things I needed to do and stay strong to my word and my discipline and my willpower and kept moving forward and didn't drop the ball and wind up going backwards, having to catch back up again. And I'll tell you what, guys, it's eye-opening, it's sobering, and it is a kick to the nuts in your ego when this shit happens, right? Because everybody puts up their highlight reels. They put up their best. Well, I'd like to say my name is Jerry Ward. I'm a recovering addict, 20 years sober from any opiates. And I've put my best foot forward, but I have shown you my worst foot too. You've been through it all with me. You've been through my success. You've been through my failures. You've been through my breakups. You've been through my dogs passing away, my father passing away. You've been through all of it with me. You have seen me and you know who I am at my core. And that is my greatest legacy through this whole social media bullshit, is I was able to leave social media, in the end, whenever that is, at least being me and being real and not being one of these fake fucks out there that wants to build a character or create some kind of bullshit to seem perfect and show you a highlight reel. You've seen my highlights, my lowlights, and everything in between. What you've seen is real. And that is something that I'm the most proud of, and I always will be. BobShachang@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BobShachang.com is a blog. It's the curious, but so happy I'm doing what I'm doing bicep, and we are out.